So, before we went off to war the first time, uh, one of the one of the guys went down the line asking everybody what their life goal were. You know, guys were saying, I wanted to be, say a surgeon. I wanted to be this. I wanted to be that. I wanted to do all these things as we're going off to war. Granger, what's your life's goal? What do you want? What do you want out of life? Whatever. And I said, just to live a life that's worth writing a book about. And interestingly enough, I feel like I keep on and on and on feeling like I need to do more to live a life that's worth writing a book about. And hopefully I can do some more exciting things, which hopefully this time around can be for some more good. I'd really like to get into the search and rescue. With my airplane, I do have my assault climber certifications from the Marine Corps coming. Maybe that'll help me out. I've had a couple trips to combat. I've seen a lot of trauma, dealt with a lot of trauma. Hopefully that'll help. But when I look back, I don't, I don't really think I probably would need to live more of a life to have one that would be worth writing a book about. To be honest, it's just I'd have to go ahead and write the book. I mean, I was out in, I grew up in a household that was super religious. No TV, no radio. Um, my dad just died. We came to very good terms at the end, so thanks to God for that. But we had some rough years, and when I was about 8 years old, my dad started struggling with deep depression. My dad wasn't a drinker or anything like that. He's a good man, but he's a hard man. You know, like kind of, for lack of a better way of saying it, fire and brimstones by the book. And I ended up with all this stuff. I ended up out at an early age, out at 16. I ended up going through the building boom in the early 90s, um, building houses out on the West Coast. Moved out there, 16 years old. I remember going and getting my bank account to cash my checks, and the lady said I need to have a parent come sign. I was like, lady, I'm on my own. I live on my own. The look on her face, I felt like I was a man. I had it figured out, But looking back on the pictures at what I looked like at 16, I was very much of a young looking 16-year-old as well. It's funny to think about now. Um, all that happened. I ended up back here, tried going back to school, got expelled out, so I got kicked out of the house again, and ended up back out there again working. So as time went, I went all over the country, not all over, but east coast to west coast, back and forth. Tried going out to the east coast and working. People I ended up living with were, come to find out, doing heroin and stealing cars. So we ended up taking off out of there. Uh, Ended up in Minneapolis with one of my buddies. It was a pretty random choice. Working up there, and ended up not doing things right financially, Um, Left out of there on the train. Ended up in Kalispell, Montana. Um, and was working out there when the towers got hit. Remember that I was on the roof, and the guy I was working with comes running out screaming, "It's World War III!" I'm like, what? I jumped off the roof, ran to Walmart, it was closest TVs, seen the second tower hit. Hey, be quiet. Ended up going off, getting into the Marine Corps, going off to war as quick as I could. That was my only goal: get to war, get into the fight. Was living with some woman, bad deal. Uh, I was 21 when the towers got hit. I was pretty well just sick of living at that point. I was probably battling some depression at the time too. I figured I could go to war, get killed for a good cause. At the time, I didn't realize, all the politics behind it all. I just wanted to fight for the country and die and be good to go. So I got into the Marine Corps without a high school diploma or a GED. Um, Not too terrible, many of us doing that anymore. I actually was going to college when I was in high school as well, though. Welding, machine shops, diesel mechanics, stuff like that. So I had quite a few college credits, even though I didn't have a GED or a high school diploma. There's a little loophole there. Many ways to skin a cat, right? So, ended up in there, ended up off to war a few times. Was in Ramadi, Iraq in 04-05 and then 07. 04-05 was split, and then 07, same place. 04 especially was mega wild. I got to experience probably some of the craziest combat of our generation, I suppose, in the last 20 years or so. And after getting out of there, I ended up, I of course got married to a wrong kind of woman, ended up being a single dad of an infant daughter, fought with the state over that. That was another deal. That was horrendous. They're pathetic, over kids, ended up getting my daughter at a month and a half old, doing the single dad thing. Ended up struggling mentally after getting, out of the Corps, and I suppose with the war and all the different things, just how it goes, plays out. Lots of guys seem to have a tough time where they feel like they need to go back and be a part of the fight or something, I suppose. Tried to go to the VA for help. That didn't work out too well. VA about killed me with pills. Threw them in the garbage. Went on put a band-aid of drinking, on drinking, used drinking as my coping method. Ended up out on a ranch in Montana for 7-8 years. Did a lot of drinking. Kind of, in lots of ways, hibernated away from most people. Didn't trust myself not to get into trouble. Ended up in jail. Worked the oil patch. Was up in the oil patch the last 2 times it died. Cementing wells and doing acid jobs on wells. Working the oil patch all the way from North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, down all the way to Utah, actually. So yeah, a lot of time on the ranch, a lot of time in the oil patch. Ended up being a butcher after that, running equipment and driving truck up in the oil patch at the end of this last collapse. Lost that job. That was a good job. Ended up being a butcher and loved that. Didn't end up staying doing that though, and then got to have some good times getting back with my dad right in the end this last year. He invited us back for Christmas. It was a big special thing for us. Had some good times with my dad, working a possible deal of us, a couple brothers and dad and I, buying a resort, a mountain resort. Had a few things still to line up, and then dad died this last summer. I got my airplane flying. Just about to get my pilot's license now. Like I say, just got my stuff coming from the Marine Corps for my climbing certifications and everything, and hopefully that'll help me. I'd like to take the airplane and move into some search and rescue type deal. It'd be pretty cool. Maybe it can be another chapter in my book, if my book ever gets written. If not, at least I lived a life that's worth writing a book about. And maybe if I leave enough videos behind, maybe my kids can actually, if we don't ever get around to writing it, maybe my kids can actually piece together what old dad's life was and what his mentality was like through the psychotic times and hopefully the good, helpful times. So it's been a wild ride. It's been a hard knock life. It's been good. Now running equipment and flying an airplane and that's pretty much that, and raising my family. That's pretty much all I care about at this point, other than transitioning the airplane to search and rescue. So, see what happens. That was a lot of blabbing. Don't even know what I said.